Welcome to me talking about anxiety more, because that's one of my favorite problems that I have. Yay! If you're new to my channel, I grew up Mormon, I left Mormonism. Now this channel is about how you rebuild yourself after such a huge life identity shift. I've decided that I'm going to try to make the whole anxiety topic a series because it's something that I've struggled with my whole life, and I've found a lot of things over the years that have helped me. And so as I'm continuing to improve, I thought it would be nice to share what's worked for me. And I'm sure in the comments below you guys can let me know what has helped you. So, backstory. I think that a large portion of the anxiety I felt growing up did have a lot to do with what I learned in Mormonism. And I think the aspect of it was socially, there was a lot of fear perpetuated about what other people were thinking of you. And it was almost like so easy to feel judged because you could be judged on such visible sins. Like if you're wearing something you're not supposed to wear, or eating or drinking something you're not supposed to eat or drink, and swearing, or like the sins were so obvious that you could be judged by, or at least many of them. And it caused me to feel very anxious because I was very, very afraid of what people thought of me. A little bit more background is that in Mormonism, there's a lot of women struggling with perfectionism, and men too, but and they're all just going, like trying to prove their worth because they don't know how to feel good about themselves otherwise. And growing up in that kind of environment left me feeling like this constant urgency to be doing a lot and accomplishing a lot and just proving myself all the time. And it's, causes anxiety a lot, and it's super exhausting. Recently, as I've been kind of diving into the depths of my own soul, what I've been noticing is that a lot of my anxiety lately has to do with this feeling of like urgency, like there's not enough time and time is running out and I gotta hurry. And as I've been digging deeper into that, I feel like I've been understanding myself a little bit better. And so I was like, hey, why not just talk about it? I think I've discovered two beliefs or reasons of why I feel like everything is urgent all the time in my life. And to give you an idea of what it looks like, I just feel this anxiety every day around like trying to get things done and trying to take care of my kids. And it's this feeling of fear and of pushing myself too hard. Like I have to go and I have to get all these things done and I have to hurry before like the world explodes. It's very compulsive, and it's very, very difficult to control. It's very difficult even when I can rationally look at something and say, actually, I'm not in a hurry for this thing to be done. It's like my brain is like, oh yeah, you are super in a hurry, and also you're probably gonna die if you don't hurry enough. It's not rational. So I've been digging deeper into this and trying to understand it, trying to change it, because I can see that all this rushing around is not conducive to being present and being able to relax. So one thing I've noticed about it is I realize that underneath the urgency, I have this fear of missing out. Okay? And part of it is because I feel like I've missed out on so much already in my life. And part of that is because of leaving Mormonism. I often, in the past, would fantasize, like, what would it be like if I had never grown up Mormon, and how farther along in life would I be, and, what career would I have chosen, and, like, how would things be different? And carrying around that regret, it pushes me into a lot of urgency of like, well, I missed out, so I don't want to miss out more, so I gotta, like, get a lot done. Gotta live life really fast. Oh, sorry. Another reason I feel like I've missed out on so much is because I feel like there was a lot of trauma I experienced from Mormonism and from my childhood that very much kept me boxed in and kept me afraid and kept me from being who I really wanted to be and doing things I really wanted to do. So I feel like I've missed out on a lot of things. I've missed out on friendships, partly from feeling like I have to be productive all the time and partly because of being afraid of being rejected. I've missed out on connecting more deeply with the people in my life, like my siblings and my Jared and my kids. And I feel like I've missed out on a lot of fun because I'm just so... I've spent most of my life convincing myself I'm too busy for fun, which is just very sad. I've missed out on just being present as much because I often find myself like when I have downtime thinking about what else needs to be done or doing more things instead of just like relaxing or just being with my kids. And that sucks. I've missed out on standing up for myself because I didn't feel like I was ever taught that my feelings mattered or that I was important or that my needs or wants were important. So I feel like I've missed out on, getting my needs met, standing up for myself when people don't treat me right, and etc. So there's a lot of feelings behind why I feel like I've missed out on so much. And it's almost like this underlying propulsion of like, it's like forcing me to feel this very urgent feeling of like, I need to live life. I need to do all these things and get things done because like I've missed out on so much. And I've been trying to process that, right? And I've been trying to come to peace with the fact that, yeah, I missed out on some things, but reminding myself that I also have had some good times and then just trying really hard to celebrate any good moments that I have. Trying to take my brain and really change the way that I talk to myself and that I think about myself and that I think about my life just by slow, like little steps of just like celebrating if something goes well, as opposed to just being really depressed that my life isn't, what I wish it could be. So, good journal prompt for you. For those of you who like journaling, I know some of you do. What do you feel like you've missed out on in your life? And how is that affecting your daily life? I've tried really hard to come to terms with the fact that I've missed out on some things, by letting myself grieve it and be sad about it and then like accept it. Because ultimately, like I sit here and I say like, well, if I had had a different childhood, I would have been so different. And it's like, well, yeah, of course. That's yes. But I didn't have a different childhood. So I'm exactly where I'm at. And that's just life. Anyone can wish for a different childhood. There was this quote once I heard that really helped me with that, and it was, the direction you're heading is far more important than your starting point. And I super love that. I think my life is heading in good directions, and I'm trying to remember to be positive about that instead of comparing myself to where I think I could be or should be, because ultimately I'm not there. And if I can't accept that, then I just am mad at myself, and that doesn't seem to really help. Okay, so that is kind of that piece of the puzzle. Feeling urgent because I feel like there's a lot I've missed out on. Now, I think there's another piece of the puzzle that I've discovered recently. And what that is the fear of doing it wrong. Now, this is specifically triggering for me when it comes to parenting. Because I often feel very, very afraid of messing my kids up or hurting them or neglecting them or like them thinking I'm a bad mom or other people thinking I'm a bad mom. I'm very afraid of being a bad mom, and it cripples me in a lot of ways. It keeps me stuck in this cycle of feeling like I need to give them everything of me and everything they want, and then getting resentful of them because I have nothing left for myself, versus bouncing back into feeling guilty. Like feeling guilty that I'm not giving them enough, feeling guilty that I'm taking too much time for myself, or feeling guilty that they had to play Legos by themselves, So I play this game. where it's like I do too much because I don't want to feel guilty, because I'm very afraid of being a bad parent. Because that's like one of the worst bad things you can be. Like, you could be a bad friend, and you know what? That would be bad, but it's not gonna like totally ruin someone's entire existence like it is when you're being a bad parent. So I put a lot of pressure on myself. And I know that part of that fear comes from my own childhood, because I felt very neglected as a child emotionally. So I'm very afraid of my kids feeling that way. So it's like this constant fear of like, how are they feeling? How are they doing? Like, how can I make sure that they're okay? And it's getting a lot better as I work on it, but it is hard. It's very, very deeply ingrained. And again, it's just this fear of I'm going to do it wrong. I'm so afraid of doing it wrong that it causes all this urgency and all this, like, I'm running out of time and I have to hurry and I have to do it and I have to do it right and I have to do it right now. And it's just so much anxiety and it's so tiring. It's so exhausting. It's really hard to enjoy and be present and live my life when I'm constantly afraid. Interestingly enough, I realize that so much of me is trying to overcompensate, right? I'm trying to overcompensate in fear of being a bad parent. And that overcompensation in my mind, it's like it's keeping me from making mistakes. If I am jumping to do things quick and giving them everything they need and making sure that they're okay all the time, it's like I'm less likely to make mistakes. But I realized when I was talking to someone about this the other day, like as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, wait a second. Like, who said that overcompensating meant you were going to make less mistakes? Like, who said being overly cautious meant you were going to make less mistakes? That's not true. You just make different mistakes. If you are overly anxious when taking care of your kids because you don't want them to be hurt or you don't want them to be neglected, then odds are it's not that you're not making mistakes, it's just that you're making different mistakes than what other people are making. So that kind of hit me hard to realize, like, okay, there's a happy medium here, right? Because if I continue to be too over anxious about my kids' needs and wants and their feelings, then they're going to start to feel like they can't handle things on their own on some level. Oh, it just drives me crazy because I'm so afraid of letting go of control, because what if I do make a mistake? And here's the bottom of that is that I'm going to feel really ashamed and feel like a bad person. And it's like I'm trying so hard to avoid that guilt and that shame, that I know that at the bottom of all of this, I think what's going to continue to help my urgency and anxiety issues is to confront the fear that I'm just afraid I'm a bad person. And I'm so anxiously trying to not be that. I don't know if the fear of being a bad person was something I got from Mormonism. I think that probably partly came from that, but I think it more came from my childhood trauma around criticism and guilt and shame and manipulation and stuff like that. But comment down below, do you guys feel that way? Are you afraid you're a bad person? It's very irrational, and I know that, but again, it's still one of those things where it's like, I can sit here and say, I know it doesn't make sense, but there's some trauma that's holding it in place. So, to recap that point, I'm afraid of doing it wrong, right? Because I'm afraid I'm a bad person, and that will just be proof. If I do something wrong, it will just be proof that I'm a bad person and everyone's gonna know. And I think working on that fear of being a bad person, that fear, that guilt and that shame, it is really going to continue to help me to feel less anxious all the time. It's really about trusting myself that I can take good care of them without having to be so over the top. And I'm learning, but good things take time, right? So this is kind of how I've been unpacking urgency lately. So asking yourself, if you feel a lot of anxiety, if you feel a lot of urgency to get things done, what are you afraid of? well, what's at the bottom of that for you? And maybe it's several things like it is for me. I brought up 2 things today, but I think there's still more, and that I've discovered in the past. There'll still be more in the future. Anyway, one cool thing I'll tell you guys about with anxiety lately is that I've noticed that when I'm hanging out with groups of people lately, I feel much less anxious than I normally do. And usually I have a good time. I usually have a good time when I hang out with groups of people. But I sometimes get nervous, especially if it's like at my own house. I get nervous about like feeling like I have to entertain everybody. Like it's my responsibility. Like it's my job that everyone has a good effing time for some reason. And it was funny because I was talking to my sister the other day because I was having like a birthday party and a bunch of people were coming over, and I was like, oh man, like this is weird, like kind of mixing all these different friends that I've had and like feeling like, how do I keep everybody happy? I don't know. I was kind of like expressing some like, oh, is this going to be weird? Hopefully everyone's going to have fun. I don't know if some people like doing this or that or whatever. And my sister was like, Morgan, it's your birthday. They should be entertaining you. They should be making sure you're having a good day. And that was really funny. But what I've noticed lately is that I've been feeling less responsible for making sure everybody's having a good time. And I think that that is because I am letting go of feeling like it's my job to please people. And it's very freeing. So that was good. That was a good little tidbit of, I just had a really good time the other night when we had a bunch of friends over, and I was like, you know what? Just like, it's not my job. Everyone can just have fun or they can not have fun, and I don't care. And it was really good. It was really good. So that's good. Yay me. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Comment down below your thoughts on those questions I brought up or any other ahas you had. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.